All right, so Agua Caliente, big palm tree logos, round two, fight. Um, so obviously the questions that were posed, now that I've had a chance to take a look at this, they bring up their own questions. So I have questions for the questions, but that's why I'm making this video so we can kind of review it. So breaking this apart to piecemeal, that's kind of where we're going to kind of go over here. Questions there and like, swing stage, all that. That's going to be more of a question for install. Um, and then obviously not wanting to come back to this ever would be nice. Yeah, that also brings up power. So we'll kind of go over that. The power kind of answers the question of, how often we visit this thing. So that'll be after we kind of figure out how we want to build it. So it's a tautology to say that the sign's going to be built, how the sign's going to be built, but how it gets built and what direction we go will be based off of basically install. So um, we'll go over this right now. So the pieces are going to have to be broken apart no matter what, just to route them. So for review, like this is the palm tree from the Cathedral City one. It fits on a sheet, so no big deal. We didn't have this problem. Um, Whereas all of these pieces, as you can see, you're almost pushing 70 inches wide, and 10 foot there is fine. But like the middle palm tree here, well over 120, and we're pushing 70 again. So just to route these, they have to be busted apart. So the question is, do the piecemeal part from a swing stage, can you rock a piece that's this big? And here's what I'm thinking too is I don't think we need to make these out of 1/4 inch. We went with 1/4 inch because style and cuz whatever. Plus this was going to be one piece, but to save the weight, to save the material, it's not going to be any stronger out of 1/4. I don't, technically it might be, but for the size of this thing, I think, there might be a question, YJ might answer that, but I don't think they took that into account as far as what the material was. Um, anyway, so how these things get put back together, does this become a field seam at this point? And we just go with it from there. But what that does is it raises, there's always a compromise, so as you can see with the Cathedral City one, there was only 2 points for this guy, but it wasn't that big. Whereas if these aren't a single piece, then you will have to have multiple points. So breaking it up into little pieces creates more mounting points and things like that. But this isn't that small when you consider working off of a swing stage. So this might still be big. So that's the question really is how big are the pieces we want to deal with on a swing stage. So this was just for an example, like this is the left hand palm tree broken apart, and then we would just have these seams here to deal with, and then this would be the middle palm tree, and we would just have those seams to deal with. Or do we, in the fabrication shop, do we go ahead and put this back together and you take up a big piece that's pushing 12 feet up on the swing stage? So I'm thinking, and for review, we'll be doing these tab things. If that's acceptable, I think that's the best way to roll, since YJ, they already kind of gave us a path to victory there. Also, being that these are so inboard, I would imagine, because we came in with a self tapper, so I think that these would have to be actually out here a little bit. I don't know if we can get away with just having, one here and one here. I don't know how you get to that. I don't know if YJ would sign off on that not having outward pieces, but I do realize that's just more brackets. So again, that's kind of a question for install. Do we want to just have these smaller pieces, or even smaller than that? Do we want to slice this in half? But then again, you just get tons of brackets, so we might not want to deal with that. So this is kind of how I'm seeing it is, if this is workable, these smaller pieces, you see 40 by 86 ish, 85, whatever. And this piece here, 5 feet by, 5 feet ish. So, and then just kind of dealing with these seams in the field, caulk, I don't know, however, or we just live with it. That's kind of the palm trees. So keep that in mind. And then also then we have the ring. So the ring is very large. It's 20 feet wide. And so even breaking it into just minor pieces, the pieces are big. So I broke it up into these sections, and these sections are still 91 inches by 22. And basically because there's no guarantee that this will be put together properly, or like strength wise, I don't think YJ can sign off on this being one whole piece. That was the advantage of the Cathedral City one, is we literally welded this as one piece, so they could do their calcs based on a nice big ring. So that's why we got away with only 4 points all the way around. It's pretty amazing. So you know, having self tappers along here and trying to make this as the one piece, I don't know if they'll sign off on maybe just having a bracket here and a bracket here or something. I don't know. Again, that's YJ. And whether or not it's feasible from the stage. So here we are. So breaking it up like this, we're at 91 inches. And this piece here is 125, this guy. So, but this, this is manageable. So we have a vertical guy here, and we'll have a single guy here. And I'm thinking we can get away with 2 brackets per piece. So you could just work your way around. Breaking it up into 3 pieces, we're looking at 170 for this piece here, and we would weld this back in the shop, or we cut it over here, but we weld it and bond to it, and essentially you go out there with 3 pieces. But again, swing stage, I don't know what's feasible with the swing stage, so you're looking at 171, and this bad boy here is 187, and and again, this would fit router wise this way, or width wise, but we would have to break it apart here. So this is more of a decision, again, swing stage, install, how do you want to deal with this? We have a vertical or a horizontal and 2 verticals here. I think that would be good enough. YJ would sign off on that probably, plus you can get to it. Okay. Anyway, so, and again, for review, these guys. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Is those are the questions, kind of how piecemeal do we want to be based on our swing stage? And then that bounces back to, let's just say, the swoosh here. So same thing, swoosh not that bad. I think that this, this swoosh is pushing over 10 feet, but it's not that wide. I think that might work as one piece. And then I'm thinking two little guys here. That would be, frap, put those brackets there. And then what I would do is this would be our seam here, and this would be our seam here, and then just make this swoop also one swoop. So we could have, a mounting bracket here, like a mounting bracket here. And then, and then we're back to where those palm trees were, like this would be this piece, break it there. I did the one, and I didn't kind of bother, just, this is all spitballing. Again, this one though, the decision would be, can we get away with doing like a piece here? Or, well, it'll have to be some sort of piece here to keep this routable, and then we can just make this as one piece. Can install handle this, or do we want to like break it here and make this one piece and then this one piece? How small do we want to get on these things? So kind of looking for guidance from Jonathan. We can go over this. This is just like to get the topic of discussion kind of going. But I'd like to meet on this to make sure that we're all on the same page and really like dialed in, like how many pieces do we want? And like I say, we'll have to feed that to YJ so he can sign off on everything. So let's talk about power. I know that what's out there, the power supplies and stuff are, I believe they are inside of the little cabinet thing that we have. I believe, or did we get rid of that? I don't remember. Anyway, what I'm saying is we have to do remote power supplies somehow. If we can figure out how to get the power supplies, especially with a reverse channel thing like this, there's not much protection. Basically UL to begin with. It's hard to UL. Putting a power supply somewhere in here, you'll have to deal with shadows and then the accessibility, because your power supply will go out long before your LEDs. So putting the power supplies in the switch and having primary out here somewhere will mean swing stage, no matter what. So the LEDs, yes, they can last, 50,000 hours or whatever it is. They'll last a heck of a lot longer than a power supply. And Murphy's Law will almost guarantee that the fact that this is, you can do the inverse proportion of, as hard as it is to get to this thing, it means more power supplies will go out. They just will, because it's just Murphy's Law. So if this thing was on the ground, we would have no problem for decades. But watch us get a bad batch of power supplies or something, who knows? So again, I don't know what that is. So if, again, install can think about where we could remote, or if it's at all possible to, if there's a supply closet somewhere near there, or if there already is remote, great. I don't remember. I just remember the original sign we did was primary, was on the wall, but we had that contour cabinet to hide everything in. So anyway, so those are the things that I'm thinking of. If we can just bounce that back and you guys can ponder those ideas, looking at how this is broken apart, if that works with the brackets like that, and then kind of going forward, if that's our strategy, and kind of choosing which one of these is the not so great version. Neither of them are great, but whether one works for you or the other. Oh, the other one too, kind of is like, do we want to have screws in the face, or do we want to just do like a light block that just sort of, saddles in, but we don't really want to shoot a screw to the face? Because if not, then I can, if we do want to do that, I can go ahead and put, holes there for that. So do we want to secure those seams like that going forward? Let's think about that. So I think that's it. Again, like I say, I'll just like to get together on this, but these are the things that I kind of see.